16 Pros and Cons of Living in Louisiana. Fun, food, and festivities are what Louisiana is all about. There is always something fun going on, or a celebration of some kind. That is kind of odd considering it is one of the poorest states in the country. There are lots of contrasts. There is a disparity between the rich and the poor. Winters are mild, but there are hurricanes. It is a sportsman's paradise, but you have to look out for snakes and alligators. There may be issues in Louisiana, but one thing is for certain, you will be able to have a good time regardless. Pros of living in Louisiana. 1. The food. By far the best thing about Louisiana is its food. There is a lot of cultural diversity and a lot of history, and Cajun and Creole cuisine has been the result. It can be very spicy, but it is also very delicious. It is a combination of French, African, Native American, and a few other cultures that are thrown into the mix. Seafood is the center of a lot of cruising in Louisiana, as well as freshwater fish. 2. Festivities. There are at least 400 festivals in Louisiana, and they seem to want to celebrate just about everything. The big one is Mardi Gras in New Orleans, which is a huge party in the center of the city of parties. New Orleans is called the Big Easy because of its history of fun times, legal or not. No matter where you are in Louisiana, there is either a festival going on or one about to start, with lots of great music, food, and fun. 3. Outdoor paradise. Louisiana is called the sportsman's paradise because of all the outdoor activities you can do. It is warm most of the year, and there are rivers, oceans, and swamps to play in. There is a lot of hunting and fishing, both inland and out in the Gulf. The warm climate is also great for golf. There is also a lot of passion for college teams around the state and the professional teams in New Orleans. 4. Cultural diversity. It has a lot of regional differences for a state that is not all that big. In the Southeast, there are Cajun and Creole influences in music, language, food, and customs not like in the rest of the South. New Orleans, with its famed French Quarter, is also a world of its own and is a small French area. The West may be like Texas, and the North may be more like Arkansas. There are a lot of different cultures here, and they all blend together to make Louisiana a unique place. 5. The weather. There are not 4 seasons here. There are 2 at most, and it never gets very cold. There can be hurricanes and amazing amounts of rain, but it is a warm climate. Summer can get hot, but you may not need an actual coat during the winter. If you like warm weather the entire year, you will love Louisiana, especially in the southern parts of the state. 6. Cheap housing. For the most part, Louisiana has low-cost housing, as much as 35% less than the national average. Apartment rentals are about 30% below the national average. Some areas of New Orleans and Baton Rouge are expensive, but the rest of the state is not. The further you get from cities, the lower housing costs will be. The median home value is $163,000, which is the 15th lowest in the nation. 7. Cost of living. The overall cost of living in Louisiana is relatively low as well. Groceries and utilities are generally 10% below the national average. Possibly because there are a lot of oil refineries, gasoline will also be less than in other states. There are states with a lower overall cost of living. Louisiana is the 17th lowest, which is still below average enough to be noticeable. The average mean wage is $47,000, which is low, but that may be offset by lower prices. 8. Friendly people. There are several cultures mixed together in Louisiana, and no matter which one you are around, you are likely to find friendly people. There is a warm and welcoming attitude towards strangers. For the most part, people say hi on the streets, and they may strike up a conversation while standing in line. If there is a party going on, you will be invited. People are polite, and you will be expected to do the same. Not speaking to someone on the street may be considered rude. Cons of living in Louisiana. 1. The weather. It is warm all year long. Winter is nice, but there is a downside. Summers are very hot, muggy, and sticky. Humidity hangs out over 90% most of the time, and that can be without a cloud in the sky. It will be hot outside for most people 6 months or so out of the year. There are also hurricanes that get into the Gulf and can cause all sorts of problems. Several have hit New Orleans or other parts of the coastline. Even if it does not hit, if a hurricane is 100 miles from you, you will still get days of torrential rain. Flooding is an issue at times as well. 2. Bugs and pests. While Louisiana is a natural wonderland for a lot of people, there are also some parts of nature that will make you uncomfortable. Mosquitoes are terrible much of the year and can make you miserable outside. Wet areas grow mosquitoes, and they grow roaches that can get anywhere. There are also snakes that can show up in the oddest places, and you need to be careful where you step in many areas. Alligators are also around, but running into them is rare if you are in a town or city. Still, if you do see one, stay clear because they are dangerous. There are also the usual rodents, such as rats or mice, that do well in wet, muggy areas. 3. Weak economy. It is a little surprising with the vibrant city of New Orleans and the vibrant culture, but the economy struggles. U.S. News ranked among the worst states because of the business environment, growth, and employment opportunities. Unemployment is higher than the national average, and wages are lower than the national average. Unemployment has been just over 4% so far this year, and most states are far below that. There is a limited pool of skilled workers, and that is part of the reason companies do not want to move to Louisiana, so new jobs are not being created. 4. Poverty. Because of a weak economy and high unemployment, the poverty rate is very high in Louisiana. 19% of the population lives below the poverty level, and that is second only to Mississippi. There are only 4 states above 15%. The northern city of Monroe has the highest poverty rate in the state at 40% and one of the highest in the nation. There are wealthy people in Louisiana, however, and the gap between the wealthiest and poorest is the biggest in the nation. Poverty is not limited to one group, however, as there are people of all ethnic origins below the poverty level. 5. Education. Louisiana ranks near the bottom in many educational categories. Only around 20% of students perform at an acceptable level on standardized tests. Louisiana has improved its education spending to $11,967 per pupil, which makes it 23rd in the nation. For several years, it was at or near the bottom nationally on education spending. Louisiana does have some fine colleges, though, that have reputations for being excellent education centers. 6. Corruption. Louisiana has a reputation for corrupt government from the state level down to the local town level. The reputation may be well earned. Most people in Louisiana do not think their government is doing a good job, and most say it is inefficient. This has led to mismanagement of funds, which results in poorly managed public services and weakened infrastructure. That makes it harder to attract businesses and investment into the state, which keeps unemployment and poverty high. 7. High crime. With a high poverty rate, low education levels, and corruption in government, it is not too surprising that there is a high crime rate. Louisiana has the highest murder rate in the nation at 12.4 per 100,000 people, far above No. 2 Missouri at 9.8. The national average is 5.1 per 100,000. New Orleans has more murders than any city in the country. Overall violent crime is at 13.6 per 100,000 in New Orleans, 6.38 in the state, and the national average is around 4. Property crime is at 28 per 1,000 in Louisiana, and the national average is 19. 8. Few opportunities. Louisiana is ranked 49th out of 50 states as far as job and economic opportunities. Unemployment remains high and wages remain low. That keeps the cost of living down, but it makes it harder to get out of poverty. They are expecting a growth in jobs, but so far it has not materialized. The oil and gas industry, tourism, and healthcare are strong fields, but there are not many other industries growing in the state.